baby.
Turn right, then turn left. Continue for 7 kilometers. In 400 meters, turn left. On the left.
Székesfehérvári Budapest rendőrálláson állították. Közben szerint különösen hajnalszolgálás
メイクとかライブ。 oda, leülök és menjünk. Leülök oda a levegőbe.
Jó.
Ugye a forróságon nincs.
เ Begged him to stay in my cold wooden grip. Begged him to stay by the light of the ship. Like stone. But I'm broken too and spoken for. Do not tempt me. Here I cannot stay. Cut out my tongue. There is nothing to say. Love me, oh Lord. He threw me away. He laughed at my sins. In his arms I must stay. We right. That's alright. I miss his smell. We speak when spoken to. That suits us well. That suits us well. That suits me well. He wrote, I'm broke, please send for me. But I'm broken too and spoken for. Do not tempt